Hello, this is Gary Marr from Wyndham Community College. This screencast is for my CIS133 HTML5 CSS3 web development class, spring 2018. What I wanted to do is just talk briefly about a resource that I've used in a variety of the web classes that I teach, whether it be HTML or JavaScript or whatever. There's a great resource that's available to you online that I would recommend all of you get used to using. It's called w3schools.com. You may have already been there. You may have already heard of it. But in there is a lot of help with HTML, CSS, and then as you get into JavaScript, jQuery, Angular, Bootstrap, Ajax, these are additional technologies if you continue your career taking more classes at GCC in web development. We're only interested for the most part in the HTML and the CSS piece. As you can see, it starts out very high level with Learn HTML. Although what I can also do is go in here and type in, let's type in doctype and see what it shows us here. Doctype happens to be one of those commands we learned very early in HTML and JavaScript. And let's see, is there a page here for W3 Schools? Yes, there is. HTML doctype declaration. The nice thing about this site is that it gives you an explanation of what's going on here. It tells you what browsers this particular command is supported on. It typically gives you some other information related and sometimes directly related, sometimes a little bit less related, but that depends on the command. But most importantly, it gives you the ability to try this. So what it does, it typically has an example window, and when you try it for yourself, it opens up a new window that lets you run the code that's sitting there in the page. Now you can change the code, you can play with it. Let's break it, see what happens here. If I put something in that doesn't belong there and run it, let's see, I guess it's not going to give me an error. But what I can do is I can experiment with the different HTML, CSS topics that I've looked up. It's got a whole host of resources here that really help out. I've used this for so many classes. My students regularly rely on it. Let's click on Learn HTML real quick. Here's a tutorial that will walk you through some parts of HTML. I actually, for my JavaScript class, asked my students to take the HTML exam before we start JavaScript because HTML is a prerequisite to that class. There's a lot of really good stuff in here. So if you're working on something, on an assignment, you've read something in the book, you don't quite understand it, this is an excellent resource. Go here, you can probably get your answer, you can probably even try it out or change it, kick the tires, so to speak, and find out where the problem is. Another site that you'll find when you go into Google, if you have a problem with HTML or CSS and you type out your problem in Google, you're probably going to get a couple of hits on a site called Stack Overflow. This is like the Google answer, I guess, to programming problems or technical problems. It supports a lot of different languages, and it's just people like yourself and myself who are answering questions that people put out there. They don't know really how to answer it themselves. They pose the question. You'll see a whole series of answers below it. It's very valuable in terms of finding out, what that error message really means, or how do I fix something here? I'm kind of stuck. There's a couple of resources that I think you'll probably get some value out of. The last one would be Code Academy. I'm not going to show you that, but there's a couple different places like Code Academy that offer free online training for HTML and CSS. Not anywhere near as comprehensive as what we're going to do, and certainly not as comprehensive as this website in terms of what it covers. But I thought this was something I should share with you early on. If you have any questions, please let me know.